Hana stared at the data screen in front of her. The numbers made no sense. She rubbed her eyes and looked again. Still the same impossible readings. The coffee in her cup had gone cold hours ago. Around her, the Galactic Survey Corps office hummed with quiet activity. Other scientists worked at their stations, checking data from newly discovered worlds across the galaxy. But none of them had readings like this. She pulled up the sensor data again. The planet was small and blue, orbiting a yellow star. The locals called their star Sol, so the Survey Corps had named this world Sol 3. It should have been a simple job. Check the environment, see if anyone lived there, write a report. Easy work for a junior scientist like her. But these readings were crazy. The atmospheric pressure changed constantly. In some places it could crush a person flat. In others, there was almost no air at all. The temperature swings were even worse. Some parts of the planet reached temperatures hot enough to melt metal. Other areas were so cold that water turned to solid ice. Hana checked the electrical readings next. Massive energy discharges lit up the atmosphere every few seconds. These lightning bolts carried enough power to run a small space station. They happened all over the planet, all the time. The ground itself moved and shook. Huge cracks opened up and swallowed entire landscapes. Mountains exploded, shooting hot rock and gas high into the air. The planet's surface changed almost daily. And the weather. Hana had never seen weather like this. Massive spinning storms larger than most moons swept across the surface. Wind speeds reached levels that could tear apart buildings. Water fell from the sky in amounts that could flood continents. She leaned back in her chair and shook her head. The sensors had to be broken. No planet could be this violent and still have life on it. Even the toughest bacteria would die in conditions like these. Hana was about to file a maintenance request when something caught her eye. The bioscanners showed traces of organic matter, not just simple chemicals, but complex patterns that suggested living things. Lots of living things. She ran the scan again. Same result. The planet was covered in life signs. This made no sense. She checked the data one more time, then walked over to her supervisor's desk. Jinho looked up from his own work. He was older than Hana, with gray hair and tired eyes. He had been checking planet data for 20 years. "Problem with your assignment?" he asked. Hana handed him her data pad. "The sensors must be broken. These readings are impossible." Jinho looked at the screen. His eyebrows went up. He scrolled through the data, his expression growing more confused with each page. "This is Sol 3?" he asked. "Yes, sir. The small blue planet in the Sol system." Jinho stood up and walked to his computer. He pulled up the same planet and ran a fresh scan. While they waited for results, he drummed his fingers on his desk. "You know," he said, "I've seen some rough planets in my time. Desert worlds where it never rains. Ice planets where the air freezes solid. Gas giants with storms that last for centuries. But nothing like this." The fresh scan finished. Jinho opened the file and went very quiet. The new data matched Hana's readings exactly. The atmospheric electrical activity alone would kill most species instantly, Jinho said. "And look at these geological readings. The ground shakes constantly. Massive eruptions happen every few days. How could anything live there?" "That's what I thought," Hana said. "But the bioscanners keep showing life signs." Jinho called up more detailed scans. "Not just life. Look at this. There are organized structures on the surface. Geometric patterns, straight lines. These look like cities." Hana felt a chill run down her spine. Cities? You mean intelligent life? It sure looks like it. But that's impossible. No intelligent species could develop on a world like this. The environmental challenges would prevent any advanced civilization from forming. Jinho saved the data and stood up. I need to show this to Mira. This is way above my clearance level. They walked down the hall to the department head's office. Mira was a small woman with sharp eyes and a reputation for solving impossible problems. She looked up as they entered. "What's the emergency?" she asked. Jinho handed her the data pad. "We have a planet that shouldn't exist." Mira read through the data in silence. Her expression grew more serious with each page. When she finished, she looked up at them both. "You ran multiple scans?" "3 times, Jinho said. "All identical results. And, you checked the equipment? The sensors are working perfectly. I tested them on the other planets in the same system. Normal readings for all of them." Mira stood up and walked to her window. Outside, spaceships came and went from the Survey Corps headquarters. Each one carried teams to explore new worlds and make contact with new species. "In 30 years of planetary classification," she said, "I have never seen anything like this. This planet makes our most dangerous death worlds look like vacation spots." She turned back to them. "I'm authorizing an immediate Class 15 Doomworld designation. Maximum threat level. We need a 50 light-year exclusion zone around this system." Hana had never heard of a Class 15 designation being used. Class 10 was supposed to be the highest level, reserved for planets with active warfare or deadly radiation. "Class 15?" she asked. "I'm creating a new category," Mira said. "This planet is beyond our normal classification system. No sane species should go anywhere near it." She began typing up the official report. "Extreme atmospheric conditions, constant geological instability, lethal weather patterns, dangerous electrical activity. I'm recommending complete quarantine." "What about the life signs?" Jinho asked. Mira paused her typing. "Probably sensor echoes, or maybe primitive bacteria that somehow adapted to survive. Nothing intelligent could develop there." As she filed, "The report." Her computer chimed with an incoming message. The long-range communication array had detected something from the Sol system. Mira opened the message and went very pale. "What is it?" Hana asked. "Electromagnetic signals. From Sol 3. They're structured, organized, like communication signals." The 3 of them stared at the data. The signals came in regular patterns with complex modulations that suggested intelligence. "But that's impossible," Jinho said. "Nothing could survive there, let alone develop technology." Mira saved the communication data and marked it with the highest security classification. "We need to keep monitoring these signals. If there really is intelligent life on that death world, we need to understand what we're dealing with." She looked at Hana and Jinho. "Not a word of this leaves this office. If there's a species that can survive conditions like these, we need to know everything about them before anyone else does." As they left Mira's office, Hana couldn't stop thinking about the signals. Somewhere on that impossible planet, something was not just surviving, but apparently building a civilization. The question was, what kind of beings could live in conditions that would kill anything else in the known galaxy? The answer, she suspected, might change everything they thought they knew about life in the universe. 3 months had passed since Sol 3 received its Class 15 designation. The electromagnetic signals from the Death World had not stopped. If anything, they were getting stronger and more complex. Deho checked his equipment one final time as his ship approached the exclusion zone. He was a veteran explorer who had made first contact with 17 different species. but he had never approached anything like this. His crew was small, but experienced. Yuna handled all communications. Her talent for languages legendary throughout. The Survey Corps. Kyung managed the ship's systems and could fix anything that broke. They would need all their skills for this mission. Dropping out of faster-than-light travel in 30 seconds, Kyung announced from his station. Daeho gripped his chair as the ship slowed down. Through the main screen, he could see the Sol system, ahead. The small yellow star looked normal enough, but he knew that somewhere in this system was a planet that broke all the rules. "There it is," Yuna said, pointing at a small blue dot on the scanner. Sol 3. Even from this distance, their sensors picked up the planet's violent activity. Massive storms swirled across its surface. The energy readings made their equipment struggle to keep up. "I've never seen atmospheric electrical activity like this," Kyung said, checking his instruments. "These energy discharges are off the scale. A single lightning bolt from that planet carries more power than our main engines." Daeho studied the readings. The planet was like a giant ball of contained violence. Weather systems that could destroy space stations, ground that shook constantly, temperatures that swung from deadly hot to freezing cold, and something intelligent. "Lives there?" he asked. "The signals are definitely artificial," Yuna confirmed. "They're coming from multiple locations on the surface, organized patterns, complex information transfer. There's a whole communication network down there." She played some of the intercepted signals through the ship's speakers. Strange sounds filled the bridge, rhythmic patterns mixed with what sounded like voices. The voices were speaking in languages none of them recognized. "Multiple languages," Yuna noted. "That suggests not just intelligence, but different cultures, different groups of beings." Kyung pulled up geological scans of the planet. "Look at this. The surface is constantly changing. Earthquakes happen every few minutes. Volcanic eruptions are daily events. How could any civilization build permanent structures?" "Maybe they don't," Daeho said. "Maybe they're nomadic, moving constantly to avoid the disasters." "But the communication signals come from fixed locations," Yuna pointed out. "Big population centers based on the signal strength." Daeho made a decision. "We're going to try to make contact." Kyung looked worried. "Sir, the safety protocols clearly state—" "The protocols don't cover this situation," Daeho interrupted. "We have intelligent life on what might be the most dangerous planet in the galaxy. We need to understand what we're dealing with." Yuna began preparing a first contact message. Standard procedure was to send mathematical sequences, simple patterns that any intelligent species should recognize. Prime numbers, basic addition, geometric relationships. She transmitted the message toward the planet, and they waited. First contact usually took days or weeks. Alien civilizations needed time to realize they were being contacted by another species. "The response came back in 4 hours, they answered," Yuna said, her voice filled with amazement. "And not just with mathematics. Look at this, the return." Signal contained the mathematical sequences they had sent, proving the beings on Sol 3 understood them. But it also included much more. Complex diagrams that looked like engineering blueprints, artistic patterns that suggested an aesthetic sense, and what appeared to be a star map showing their location. "They know where we are," Kyung said nervously. "More than that," Yuna added. "They're inviting us down. These coordinates mark a landing zone on the planet's surface." Daeho looked at the coordinates. The landing zone was located in what their sensors showed as a geologically active region. seismic activity that would qualify as a major disaster on any civilized world. They want us to land in the middle of an earthquake zone, Kyung asked. Maybe. That's what they consider safe, Daeho said. Remember, these beings evolved on this planet. What we see as deadly, they might see as normal. The communication continued over the next several hours. The beings on Sol 3 sent more complex messages. Technical specifications for atmospheric processors. Artistic works that showed incredible creativity. Even what looked like entertainment programs. Their technology is impressive, Kyung admitted, studying the technical data. These engineering solutions are unlike anything I've seen. They're designed to work in extreme conditions. Their art is beautiful too, Yuna added. Look at these patterns. They show a deep appreciation for natural forces. Storms, earthquakes, eruptions, they treat them like art subjects. Daeho found this fascinating. Most civilizations feared natural disasters. These beings seemed to celebrate them. Sir, Yuna said, I'm receiving another transmission. It's different. She put the new signal through the speakers. Instead of the complex data streams they had been receiving, this was simpler, more direct. It sounded almost like music. Is that a greeting song? Kyung asked. I think so. And look at this visual component. On the main screen, colorful patterns danced in rhythm with the music. The images showed the planet's violent weather, but presented in a way that made it look beautiful rather than terrifying. They're not just surviving on that death world, Daeho realized. They're celebrating it. Those storms and earthquakes, they see them as part of their world's beauty. More messages arrived. The beings on Sol 3 seemed eager to communicate. They sent historical records showing how their civilization had developed. Technical manuals for equipment designed to withstand impossible conditions. Even what appeared to be children's stories about brave heroes who faced dangerous natural phenomena. Captain, Yuna said, I think I understand why they chose those landing coordinates. What do you mean? The seismic activity isn't random. They're predicting the earthquake patterns and directing us to land between the major events. It's not that they consider earthquakes safe. They're smart enough to time our arrival for a relatively calm period. Daeho looked at the data again. The beings on Sol 3 were not just surviving their planet's violence, they were predicting it, planning around it, maybe even using it. How long until the next major seismic event in that area? He asked. Kyung checked his sensors. Based on the patterns, we have about 18 hours of relative stability. After that, the ground will shake hard enough to level mountains. That gives us a narrow window for landing and takeoff, Daeho said. If we're going to do this, we need to move fast. Sir, Kyung said carefully, are we really going to land on that planet? It goes against every safety protocol we have. Daeho looked at the communication data streaming in from Sol 3. These beings had somehow built a thriving civilization on a world that should have killed them. They had turned planetary disasters into timing challenges. They created art from the forces that would destroy any other species. If we don't land, we'll never understand them, he said. And if there's a species that can not only survive, but flourish in conditions like these, we need to know everything about them. He activated the ship's intercom. All crew prepare for landing operations. We're going down to Sol 3. As they began their descent toward the impossible planet, Daeho wondered what they would find on the surface. Whatever these beings were, they had just redefined what it meant to be alive in a hostile universe. The first earthquake began just as they entered the planet's atmosphere. The landing pods shook violently as they dropped through Sol 3's atmosphere. Inho gripped his seat as another earthquake rattled the ground below them. In the pod next to his, cultural analyst Nari looked pale but determined. Atmospheric entry. Complete! Kayung's voice crackled through the communication system. Ground contact in 60 seconds. Through the small window, Inho could see the planet's surface rushing up to meet them. What he saw made no sense. In the middle of an active earthquake zone, he could see structures, buildings, roads, and impossibly, tiny figures moving around as if nothing dangerous was happening. The pods landed with a heavy thud. For a moment, everything was quiet, except for the distant rumble of seismic activity. Then Inho heard something that made his blood freeze. Voices. Lots of them. Speaking and laughing right outside his pod. Is everyone down safely? Deho's voice came through the radio. Pod 2 landed and secure, Nari reported. Pod 3, all systems normal, Inho added, though nothing about this situation felt normal. Pod 4, Yuna's voice was filled with wonder. Captain, you need to see this. Inho opened his pod's door and stepped outside. The first thing that hit him was the air. It was thin and hard to breathe, but somehow these beings lived in it every day. The second thing was the noise, a constant background rumble of geological activity that would send most species running for shelter. But the third thing was what shocked him most. People, hundreds of them. They called themselves humans, and they were everywhere. Walking around, talking to each other, going about what appeared to be normal daily activities. Children played in open areas while adults worked on various tasks. None of them seemed bothered by the fact that the ground shook every few minutes. Welcome to Earth, said a voice behind him. Inho turned to see a human female approaching. She was tall and moved with confident steps despite the unstable ground. Her skin was a light brown color, and her hair was black. Most surprisingly, she was smiling. I am Dr. Yoonji Kim, she said. We have been excited to meet you since we received your messages. You speak our language? Inho asked in amazement. We learned it from your transmissions. Humans are good at picking up new languages quickly. We had to be, Earth has over 7,000 different human languages. 7,000 languages. Inho tried to process this. Most planets had 1 or 2 languages for their entire species. These humans had developed thousands of them. Dr. Kim, Deho said, joining the conversation, we must ask, how do your people survive here? Our instruments show this planet should be uninhabitable. Dr. Kim looked confused. Uninhabitable? Earth is quite pleasant, actually. We are experiencing a very calm period right now. A calm period. As if to contradict her words, another earthquake shook the ground. The humans around them continued their activities without even pausing. This is calm? Nari asked. Oh yes. No major storms today, and the seismic activity is very light. Perfect weather for outdoor activities. Inho watched the humans around them. A group of children was playing some kind of game that involved running and jumping. They showed no fear of the unstable ground. In fact, they seemed to be timing their jumps to match the earth tremors. How do you build permanent structures here? Kyung asked. The geological instability should make construction impossible. Dr. Kim pointed to the buildings around them. We design our structures to move with the earth. Flexible foundations, shock-absorbing materials. Some of our buildings can sway several meters in each direction during major earthquakes. And your people don't mind living in moving buildings? Mind it? We prefer it. A building that cannot handle Earth movement would be considered poorly designed, dangerous even. Inho began to understand. These humans had not just adapted to their planet's violence, they had designed their entire civilization around it. They expected earthquakes and built accordingly. What about the atmospheric conditions? Yuna asked. The electrical activity alone should be lethal. You mean lightning? Dr. Kim asked. It can be dangerous if you are careless, but we have learned to predict and work with electrical storms. Some of our power systems actually harvest lightning. Energy. She led them toward a tall structure covered in metal rods. This is a lightning collection tower. During storms, it can gather enough energy to power several city blocks. You harvest lightning? Daeho asked in disbelief. Of course. Lightning is just electricity. Why waste such a useful resource? They walked through the human settlement, and Inho saw more impossible things. Gardens that somehow thrived in soil that his instruments said should be toxic. Transportation vehicles designed to function during seismic events. Buildings that actually used the planet's natural heat to provide energy. Dr. Kim, Nari said, may I ask about human physiology? How are your bodies able to handle these environmental conditions? What do you mean? The pressure variations, the temperature changes, the atmospheric composition. These factors should be fatal to organic life. Dr. Kim looked even more confused. Fatal? We find Earth's environment quite comfortable. Our bodies are designed for these conditions. She explained human biology in terms that made Inho's head spin. Humans could survive in atmospheric pressure that would crush most species. Their internal temperature regulation allowed them to function in both extreme heat and cold. They could even survive temporary exposure to atmospheric conditions that would kill other beings instantly. And this is normal for your species? Inho asked. Completely normal. In fact, many humans enjoy challenging themselves with even more extreme conditions. We have recreational activities that involve deliberately seeking out dangerous environments. Recreational activities? Mountain climbing in freezing temperatures, deep ocean exploration under crushing pressure, desert hiking in heat that can kill, storm chasing where people follow dangerous weather patterns just to observe them. Inho felt dizzy. These humans did not just survive their death world, they sought out even more dangerous conditions for fun. Speaking of recreational activities, Dr. Kim said, would you like to see our extreme sports arena? We have competitions running right now. Against his better judgment, Inho found himself following her to a large open area. What he saw there challenged everything he thought he knew about intelligent life. Humans were deliberately exposing themselves to conditions that would hospitalize members of any other species. Some were racing across unstable terrain, while earthquakes shook the ground. Others were competing to see who could function best during electrical storms. A few were even practicing something called volcano surfing, riding vehicles down the slopes of active volcanic mountains. They do this for entertainment? Kyung asked weakly. Entertainment, physical conditioning, and skill development. Dr. Kim confirmed. These activities help humans stay prepared for unexpected environmental challenges. What kind of unexpected challenges do you face? Nari asked. Dr. Kim pulled out a device and showed them historical records. Well, we have had several ice ages where most of the planet froze solid. Massive volcanic eruptions that blocked out the sun for years. Asteroid impacts that reshaped continents. Superstorms that lasted for decades. The images showed Earth during various catastrophic periods. Each one depicted conditions that would end most civilizations. But somehow, humans had survived them all. "These events happen regularly?" Daeho asked. "Every few thousand years something major occurs, sometimes more often. We have learned to prepare for such possibilities." Inho realized that what they considered Earth's normal state was actually the planet during a quiet period. These humans had evolved to survive planetary catastrophes that occurred on a regular basis. "Dr. Kim," he said slowly, "what would you consider dangerous conditions on Earth?" She thought for a moment. "Well, a direct volcanic eruption might be concerning. Or perhaps a Category 6 hurricane. Those can be tricky to navigate." "Category 6? Our storm classification system goes up to Category 10. Category 6 storms have wind speeds of about 300 kilometers per hour. They can pick up buildings and throw them around. And humans can survive Category 6 storms? With proper preparation and equipment, yes. Category 10 storms are more challenging, but even those can be managed with the right techniques." As the day continued, Inho and his team learned more about human capabilities. These beings had not just adapted to survive impossible conditions, they had thrived in them, built a global civilization around them, and were now preparing to spread beyond their planet. When Dr. Kim mentioned human space exploration plans, Inho felt a chill of understanding. If humans could turn a Class 15 Doomworld into a comfortable home, what would they do when they encountered other worlds that the galaxy considered uninhabitable? The answer, he suspected, would reshape everything. They thought they knew about the limits of life in the universe. Back aboard their ship, Kyung stared at the technical documents the humans had shared. His hands shook slightly as he read through engineering specifications that challenged everything he knew about technology. "This is impossible," he muttered, for the 10th time that day. The humans had not just given them basic information about their civilization. They had provided detailed blueprints for technologies that seemed to break the laws of physics, materials that grew stronger under pressure, power systems that generated more energy during disasters, transportation that worked better in unstable conditions. "Look at this atmospheric processor design," Kyung said to Daeho. "It is built to function during electrical storms. Not just survive them, function better because of them. It actually uses lightning strikes to improve its performance." Daeho studied the blueprints. Human engineering was unlike anything in the galactic database. Where other species designed safety systems to protect against environmental threats, humans designed systems that turned threats into advantages. "And these building materials?" Kyung continued. "This metal alloy becomes more flexible when heated to temperatures that would melt most structures. They use volcanic heat to make their buildings more earthquake-resistant." A soft chime indicated incoming visitors. Dr. Kim and 3 other humans were requesting permission to board their ship. Daeho granted access, curious to learn more about these impossible beings. Dr. Kim entered the bridge along with a tall human male named Jinwoo, who introduced himself as a geologist. With them was a smaller human female called Somin, who seemed to be some kind of physicist. The third human was a younger male named Tai-hyun, who explained he was an engineer. "We brought some of our colleagues," Dr. Kim said. "They were excited to meet representatives from space-traveling civilizations." "The feeling is mutual," Daeho replied. "We have many questions about how your species developed such advanced adaptation techniques." Jinwoo laughed. "Advanced? We just build things, the way Earth teaches us to build them. If you fight against natural forces, you lose. If you work with them, you can accomplish anything." He pulled out a small device and projected holographic images of Earth's geological systems. See, most species would look at an earthquake and think disaster. We look at an earthquake and think energy source and mineral access opportunity. You use earthquakes as energy sources? Yuna asked. Of course. Seismic activity generates enormous amounts of kinetic energy. We have developed systems to capture and convert that energy for our cities. Some of our largest power plants are built directly on fault lines. Soman stepped forward with her own device. The same principle applies to atmospheric phenomena. Other species see lightning as a dangerous threat. We see it as free electricity delivery. She showed them recordings of human settlements during major electrical storms. Instead of hiding from the lightning, the humans had built elaborate collection systems that turned their cities into massive electrical conductors. During storms, human settlements actually increased their power output. This is beyond anything in our technological database, Kyung admitted. Your solutions are so far outside standard engineering approaches that most species would consider them impossible. That is probably because most species evolved on stable planets, Taehyun said. Earth taught us early that stability is an illusion. Everything changes, everything moves, everything can be dangerous. So we learned to make friends with danger. Daeho found this phrase fascinating. Make friends with danger. It is a human expression, Dr. Kim explained. Instead of trying to eliminate risks, we learn to understand them, predict them, and work with them. Danger becomes a tool rather than an enemy. Salman pulled up more data. For example, humans have recreational activities that other species would classify as suicide attempts, mountain climbing during avalanche season, ocean sailing during storm periods, desert exploration during extreme heat events. Why would humans do these things? Nari asked. Training, Jinwoo replied simply. If you can function during an avalanche, a simple earthquake becomes easy to handle. If you can sail during a hurricane, normal storms do not worry you. So humans deliberately expose themselves to deadly conditions for practice? Deadly? Taehyun looked confused. These activities have risks, but we would not call them deadly. Humans have very good survival instincts and recovery abilities, Dr. Kim nodded. Human physiology is designed for crisis management. Our stress response systems actually improve our performance under pressure. Our healing abilities accelerate during emergency situations. We function better when facing challenges than when everything is comfortable. This was perhaps the most disturbing revelation yet. Humans were not just capable of surviving extreme conditions. They were literally designed to perform better when things became dangerous. Dr. Kim, Daeho said carefully, we must ask about human expansion plans. Are your people planning to explore space? Oh, yes, she replied enthusiastically. Humans are very curious about other worlds. We are particularly interested in exploring environments that other species have not been able to study. What kind of environments? Jinwoo pulled up a star chart. Well, there are many worlds marked as uninhabitable in the galactic databases. High radiation planets, extreme gravity worlds, gas giants with crushing atmospheric pressure, rogue planets with no star to provide heat. These environments present interesting challenges. You want to explore uninhabitable worlds? Yuna asked weakly. Uninhabitable for other species? Soman corrected. But human technology and physiology might make such worlds accessible. We see them as opportunities for research and possibly settlement. Settlement? Kyung's voice cracked slightly. Some humans prefer extreme environments. Taehyun explained. Life on comfortable worlds can be boring for them. They seek out greater challenges. Daeho felt a chill run down his spine. The galactic community had marked certain worlds as absolutely impossible to explore or colonize. Planets where the radiation would kill anything living within hours. Worlds where the gravity would crush bones to powder. Atmospheric conditions so toxic that no known protective equipment could function. And humans saw these places as interesting opportunities. Are there any environments that humans would consider truly dangerous? Nari asked. The four humans looked at each other and had a quiet discussion in their own language. Finally, Dr. Kim spoke. Well, black holes are probably beyond our current capabilities, and we would need significant preparation time for neutron star exploration. Those environments require specialized equipment that we have not finished developing yet. You are working on technology to explore neutron stars? Daeho asked faintly. Just theoretical research for now, Soman said. But the physics challenges are fascinating. The engineering problems alone could advance human technology by centuries. As the conversation continued, Daeho began to understand the true scope of what they were dealing with. Humans did not just live on a Class 15 Doomworld. They had turned that world into a training ground for surviving anywhere in the universe. One more question, he said. What does humanity hope to accomplish through space exploration? Dr. Kim smiled. We want to understand everything. Every environment, every challenge, every possibility. Earth taught us that any place can become home if you approach it correctly. We want to test that theory on a galactic scale. After the humans returned to the surface, Daeho immediately opened a priority communication channel with headquarters. Mira's face appeared on the screen, looking tired and stressed. Report, she said. Ma'am, we need to completely reclassify Earth and its inhabitants. Class 15. Doomworld is not just insufficient, it is completely inadequate. What do you mean? These humans have not just survived impossible conditions, they have turned them into advantages. They are preparing to explore and possibly colonize worlds that we have marked as absolutely uninhabitable. Mira was quiet for a long moment. Are you saying they represent a threat? Not a threat exactly, but they represent something completely new. A species that seeks out extreme environments instead of avoiding them. If they spread across the galaxy, they will go places no one else can follow. And their intentions? Peaceful exploration and scientific research as far as we can determine. But ma'am, they are planning expeditions to neutron star systems. They see radiation-soaked death worlds as interesting research opportunities. Mira closed her eyes. Prepare. A full report. I need to brief the Galactic Council immediately. It sounds like we need to create an entirely new classification system. As Daeho began preparing his report, he wondered what the galactic community would think when they learned about humanity. A species that thrived on challenges that would kill anyone else. Beings who saw uninhabitable worlds as potential homes. The galaxy, he realized, was about to become a much larger and more accessible place. 6 months after first contact with humanity, the Galactic Survey Corps headquarters buzzed with activity unlike anything in its history. Mira stood before the full Galactic Council. Representatives from 47 different species gathered to hear her report. Honored delegates, she began, we are here to discuss the most significant discovery in galactic history. The species we have designated as humans has forced us to completely reconsider our understanding of life in the universe. She activated the main display. showing images of Earth during various natural disasters. The council members shifted uncomfortably as they watched massive storms, volcanic eruptions, and earthquakes that would devastate any civilized world. This is Sol 3, now designated as a Class Omega world, our new highest classification level. The previous Class 15 designation proved completely inadequate. A delegate from the Kepler system raised a concerned appendage. Class Omega? What does this classification mean? It means we have encountered a species that has achieved what we previously considered impossible. They have not just survived conditions that would kill any other known life form. They have built a thriving global civilization that treats planetary catastrophes as normal environmental conditions. Mira brought up data comparing human capabilities to other galactic species. The numbers were staggering. Humans could survive atmospheric pressure variations that would crush most beings. They functioned in temperature ranges that spanned from deadly cold to molten heat. They had evolved to actually perform better under stress conditions that would incapacitate other species. But perhaps most significantly, Mira continued, humans have begun sharing their adaptation technologies with interested galactic civilizations. This caused a stir throughout the council chamber. The representative from the Rigel colonies stood up. Are you saying they are offering their survival technologies to other species? Yes. However, most of our preliminary tests suggest that human solutions are too extreme for practical application by other species. What humans consider basic safety equipment reads like military-grade crisis survival gear to the rest of us. Hannah, now promoted to head of the new Human Studies Department, stepped forward with additional data. We have established ongoing cultural exchange programs with human research institutions. The results have been illuminating. She displayed recordings of humans demonstrating their technologies, simple tools that could function during earthquakes, clothing designed to protect against electrical storms, buildings that actually became stronger during natural disasters. The most remarkable aspect, Hannah continued, is their attitude toward risk and challenge. Humans do not seek to eliminate danger. They seek to understand and master it. They view environmental threats as problems to be solved rather than conditions to be avoided. A concerned murmur rippled through the council. The delegate from the Centauri system expressed what many were thinking. Does this make humans a potential threat to galactic stability? Mira had expected this question. Our analysis suggests that humans are peaceful by nature, but their capabilities could dramatically reshape galactic exploration and colonization patterns. She brought up a star map showing worlds that had been marked as uninhabitable by galactic survey teams. Red markers indicated planets deemed too dangerous for any form of exploration or settlement. Humans have expressed interest in visiting many of these locations. They do not see them as uninhabitable worlds. They see them as unexplored research opportunities. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. For centuries, the galactic community had accepted that certain worlds were simply beyond reach. Radiation levels too high, gravity too intense, atmospheric conditions too toxic, weather patterns too violent. Humans seemed to view these conditions as interesting challenges. Jinho, now working as a human technology liaison, provided more disturbing details. Human space exploration plans include expeditions to worlds we classified as survey impossible. They are currently developing equipment for neutron star system exploration. Neutron stars? The delegate from Vega looked alarmed. The radiation alone would kill any organic life form instantly. Human preliminary research suggests that their radiation-shielding technology, combined with their species' natural resistance to environmental stress, might make short-term visits possible. They are planning a reconnaissance mission within the next 5 years. Mira concluded her presentation with footage from human recreational activities. Council members watched in fascination and horror as humans deliberately exposed themselves to conditions that would require emergency medical intervention for any other species. This footage shows humans engaging in what they call extreme sports. These activities are considered entertainment, physical training, and mental conditioning. Humans regularly practice surviving in conditions more dangerous than the normal environment on most civilized worlds. The Galactic Council voted unanimously to establish the Human Integration Protocol. This new framework acknowledged that humanity represented something completely unprecedented in galactic civilization. Dr. Kim, now serving as Earth's primary ambassador to the galactic community, addressed the Council via long-range communication. Honored delegates, humanity is grateful for the opportunity to join the galactic community. We look forward to sharing our knowledge and learning from your civilizations. Dr. Kim, the Council Chairman asked, what are humanity's immediate goals for galactic involvement? We hope to participate in scientific research and exploration missions, particularly expeditions to worlds that other species have found too challenging to study. We believe human adaptation capabilities might allow us to gather valuable scientific data from previously inaccessible environments. And your long-term goals? Dr. Kim smiled. We want to help expand the boundaries of what the galactic community considers possible. Earth taught us that any environment can become habitable with the right approach and technology. We would like to test that theory on a much larger scale. After the communication ended, the Council continued discussions about how to integrate humanity into galactic civilization. The challenges were unprecedented. Humans could potentially explore and colonize worlds that no other species could even visit. But the opportunities were equally remarkable. Scientific data from radiation worlds, gas giants, and other extreme environments could advance galactic technology and understanding by centuries. Sunho, a human researcher working with the Survey Corps, provided the final piece of information that would reshape galactic exploration forever. We have identified 17 star systems within 50 light-years of Earth that contain worlds marked as uninhabitable in galactic databases. Human preliminary analysis suggests that at least 12 of these worlds could support human research. Stations with proper equipment and preparation. Research stations? Mira asked. Permanent facilities for long-term study of extreme environments. These stations could serve as bases for exploring even more challenging worlds in those systems. The reality was sinking in throughout the galactic community. Humans were not just going to join galactic civilization, they were going to expand it into regions of space that had been considered forever beyond reach. 6 months later, the first human deep space exploration ship launched from Earth. Its destination, a rogue planet in the Epsilon system that had been marked as Survey Impossible due to its lack of solar heating and crushing atmospheric pressure. For humans, it represented the perfect test of their adaptation technologies and survival capabilities. For the galactic community, it represented the beginning of a new era, an era where the phrase "impossible to explore" might become obsolete. Dr. Kim stood in the Human Mission Control Center, watching the ship disappear into faster-than-light travel. Around her, human technicians prepared for the next phase of exploration, a survey mission to a neutron star system that other species had abandoned as a stellar death trap. "How long until we reach the neutron star system?" she asked the mission coordinator. 18 months for the initial reconnaissance mission. If that succeeds, we can begin planning for extended research operations. Dr. Kim smiled as she looked at the star charts showing humanity's exploration targets. Each red marker represented a world that other species considered unreachable. To humans, they represented the ultimate frontier. Earth had taught them well. No environment was too extreme if you approached it with the right attitude, technology, and preparation. The galaxy was about to learn just how much space was actually habitable once you stopped thinking like everything else and started thinking like a human. As the first reports came back from the human expedition to the rogue planet, confirming successful landing and establishment of a research base, one thing became clear to the galactic community. The universe had just become a much larger and more accessible place.